the politicians need slaves, the military needs slaves, it's civilians. So it is this idea of opposites that it is the real agenda of a set of code, a religion, a law. And when you have a sick system, a mechanism that its goal is to enslave humanity, then you cannot trust its religions, you cannot trust its justice or legal system, you cannot trust its currency, you cannot trust its intent. So this has been the real agenda behind what I call the mechanism. This is a force that supersedes humans, but it does not supersede concerted human will. In other words, we have overcome obstacles with Jesus. All the great heroes of our history have overcome great misery. It is concerted human will that supersedes the mechanism. This force also sees humans as a product to be exploited, bestialized, dehumanized of their earthly existence. For example, most people do not know that there is this shared experience network where these beings, in order to perpetuate their will, use their technology to rob us of our experiences. This is a topic that I explore in the book, The Pyramid of Technology. But to stay on point with the subject of religions and how they are the problem and not the solutions, you have to understand when these religions were formed. When were they formed? And what kind of world they originated from? A world where women were treated as property, where all these kinds of atrocities such as beheadings and hangings and decapitations were the norm. So you cannot trust those religions, or religions even made in this day, because we still are a byproduct of their same domestication, the same bestialism. So in this book we are going to decode all of the major religions, and we will focus on the 5 major religions of the world, which are Christianity, Islamism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and other minor native religions. I want to share a paragraph from my book. So who is in charge of setting up a religion? The ruling class, the slave owners, the plantation owners, the corporation owners, the people that are running the disorder. They are the ones that are not in charge, but are the puppets, because charge is only just an illusion, a fantasy of the dementism offered by the mechanism. So who is in charge of setting up a religion? Puppets, marionettes, they are in charge of setting up a religious code that the servants can adhere to. So their success comes from an immoral and ruthless approach to enforcing their ideas, as well as being supported by all the systems they control, just like the cartels and mafias, the monarchy, and the ruling class, the slave owners, the Nazis, the plantation owners, the corporation owners, who own not just one people but millions of people, the pharaohs that own entire civilizations. Just like cartels and mafias, the monarchy and the ruling class also behead any and all resistance that rejects the program. Today and ages before, this is done using the technology of mental enforced compliance systems. Even with all their technology and power, God in creation supersedes any mechanism, and there are paths that are available to the enlightened, the survivors, the emancipators, the awakened, the oppressed, the victims, the immigrants, the all of these people that have been forced to live in an external world that favors only the internals. Still to this day, most of the young are indoctrinated with religious systems that were created over 2,000 years ago and older, a time when crucifixions, hangings, and beheadings were common. Most of the teachings that are so-called divine and unalterable are so not because they were made by God or creation, but because it must be portrayed as such. This goes back to the idea of how people were led to believe lies because they didn't have any choice. The crucifixions, hangings, and decapitations were common. People were we will study all of this, the Inquisition, the Salem witch trials, all of this this order, and then in order to teach our children the same lies. So most of the ideas or foundations of the great architects of intelligence, such as prophets and messiahs, and even the monarchy sometimes has a change of nature as they have more time to occupy themselves with as opposed to the working class, who has their preoccupation is only their survival. So most of the ideas of founders or architects of a movement are then repackaged into a digestible religion for the masses of slaves. Redeemers most of the time do not form part of the actual designing of the religion that is going to be set up on their name, in the case of a martyr. A puppet replacement is set up in the case of a redeemer who is imprisoned and yet allowed to live, or forced to be an outcast, or worse, purged from the system. We have seen how the oppressors that run the networks of religions completely destroy the lives of the redeemers. The mechanism enables its puppets and the ruling class to oppress, control, manipulate, and filter all the information of their philosophy. The real philosophy of the Sufis, or the messiahs, the great teachers, the masters, or great heroes, will be then obscured or prone to sabotage and prone to contamination. because again, liberating knowledge is not beneficial to the disorder we live in. So the great teachings or enlightenment will be stored and hidden away in secret libraries, and the oppressors will later package such knowledge to be sold as books, stories, movies as their own, or passed on to their puppets, marionettes, animals, beasts, and demons, as the oppressor sees fit. I want to share another paragraph of my book, Established Religions, the Problem and Not the Solution. The religion of the mechanism are all the established religions of the world. In order to explain this title, the religion of the mechanism are all the established religions of the world. So how is it that a Nazi in 1935 is allowed to create such misery for the whole race? And this goes back to the power that a religion or a set of code has on its people. When you have a demented set of code or idea,